The Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
Mr Speaker, my question is to the Minister of Finance and asks, does he stand by all his statements?
Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, yes. In particular, I stand by my statement in the House yesterday that I have listened to as much as I can stand of the Labour leadership candidates.
Order. That is an unnecessary part of the answer.
Point of order, Mr.
Point of order. Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, it's quite common, if I'm asked, any minister is asked if they stand by their statements, to be able to outline a statement they stand by.
Yes, but when he's referring to the statements that have been made involved with the Labour Party challenge, I don't think that's part of the ministerial responsibility. I've accepted his answer to the question, and we're moving on with the supplementary. Honourable Clayton.
To the Minister, does he stand by his statement in his letter to SOEs in December 2009 that his government is committed to, quote, improving the performance of state-owned enterprises, unquote? If so, does he consider he has improved the performance of Learning Media by having it join Solid Energy in the SOE wreckers yard?
Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, we have worked very hard actually to improve the performance of the SOEs. The fact is, in the case of Learning Media, the member is making the assumption that the government can change the pressures and forces of what's going on in digital publishing, and actually we can't. So that business has struggled without the benefit of a monopoly contract with the Ministry of Education. They have made every effort that they could make, but they're simply not the kind of company that can survive in the market with the rate of change in digital publishing.
Supplementary question, the Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
Given that it was a decision of his government via the Ministry of Education to end the preferred supplier agreement with Learning Media, thereby significantly changing the market conditions that Learning Media operates under, why didn't he, when he knew there were problems and hundreds of thousands of dollars of salary, by the by, over 2 years ago, why didn't he actively work with the board of Learning Media to develop a strategy to mitigate these issues and changes in market conditions? Or does the lack of action simply mirror his inept handling of Solid Energy and is yet another example of him and his government being asleep at the wheel?
Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, if the member knew anything about Learning Media, and I suspect he doesn't, he'd know they have tried two particular strategies. One is export of our educational publications, which do have a level of global excellence, and the second was to buy CWA, another digital publisher. Neither of those strategies have succeeded, and we are not willing to bail it out yet again. The previous government bailed it out with several $1 million worth of capital. In fact, it might have been tens of millions of dollars worth of capital. That strategy didn't succeed either. This is simply the fact that this company has been owned by the government doesn't mean that it's exempt from all the commercial pressures that come on any business.
Supplementary question, Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
Does he agree that he has made history as Minister of Finance, who has overseen the collapse now of two SOEs that were collectively valued at $500 million 2 years ago and are now, through his own ineptitude, basket cases?
Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, no, I certainly don't accept that. I mean, if we want to go into the government record, the government has actually, because of circumstances, had to go and bail out a $1 billion guarantee entered into by that government on South Canterbury Finance, buy AMI Insurance, which holds 30% of the Christchurch market. The fact is, I know Labor are completely disconnected from economic reality, but government businesses and other businesses have been under a bit of pressure recently.
Point of order, the Honourable Annette King.
Mr Speaker, going back to the previous question, the Minister said he was quoting from an OIA, which is an official document. I would ask that he tables it.
Well, if the Minister was quoting from an official document, he was referring to an official document. Question number 8. Supplementary question, the Honourable
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister of Finance, why didn't he ask for a guarantee for the TY jobs up to 1 January 2017, when he was negotiating the deal with Rio Tinto as part of the $30 million payment that he made? Why didn't he even ask for a guarantee of those jobs, given he states the jobs are secure?
Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, I've explained to the member that it was never the government's intention to try and run their business, and in fact a guarantee of existing jobs at the TY may well increase the possibility that it shuts down. If the operator is stuck with providing the current number of jobs, they lose the opportunity we'd all benefit from for them to further restructure that business so that it can survive. I know the member would like to run every business in the country. We don't, because we can't. We believe we've got the best deal possible, and we're going to stick to that deal.
Point of order, Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
I seek leave to table several reports from media organisations, including Jessica Much of One News, showing the litany of examples where
Order. Such information is freely available to all members. A point of order. A supplementary question, Claire Curran.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Is he aware that the lead contender for the position of Māori Television Chief Executive, Paora Maxwell, was not considered suitable for the position by the recruitment company engaged to oversee the process and was not included on the shortlist, but that this decision was overturned by his close friend and board chair, Georgina Tuhuhu? Does this meet his test for an appropriate appointment process?
Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, I'm advised by the chairman that all the correct procedures have been followed, and I would say to members of the opposition that anyone applying for a job in the public service deserves a fair go on their merits. The opposition seem to think that anyone applying for a job in the public service or a Crown-owned entity is fair game for their political games, and I think that is rather harsh on any candidate.
Supplementary question, Claire Curran. Order.
Is he aware that Paora Maxwell has been in long-term debt to Te Mangai Pāho, which is the major programming funder for Māori Television, from money owed from his own production company to Aratai Productions? If so, does he think it appropriate that the board would appoint a chief executive in long-term debt to the station's program funder?
Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, I don't know.
Point of order, Te Ora Favel.
So, bearing in mind that no appointment has been made with Māori Television, is this line of questioning appropriate in the sense that the appointment is still under consideration?
I appreciate the point the member's making. On this occasion, when I refer back to the primary question that was asked, which does the Minister stand by all his statements, I have, with some reluctance, to be honest, ruled that the question is in order and therefore it's for the Minister to answer as he sees fit. Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, I don't know the individual, don't know anything about his circumstances. What I do know is that a strength of the New Zealand government system is that there is no political interference in the appointment of people to positions in that public sector. Unfortunately, the opposition have seen fit to attack the process. The fact is, the chairman has assured me that proper procedure has been followed. If there was any evidence to the contrary, then I suppose we would look at it. But I don't think that character assassination on someone who can't do anything about it is the way to deal with public sector appointments, although it's not the first time the Labour Party have done it.
Supplementary question, Claire Curran.
Does he believe that the board should have accepted the offer of a briefing from the TVNZ CEO Kevin Kendrick, given Paora Maxwell left the company without a reference and under a cloud of financial and staff mismanagement?
Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker.
Point of order, Te Ora Favel.
So there's a couple of issues that have arisen out of this line of questioning. The first point is about the process, but the second point is that I really want to focus on, and that is what protections do individual New Zealanders have in going through an appointment process when their past employment history is put in front of the New Zealand the New Zealand society for all to see, and yet they're applying for a job, have not even been appointed to any position at the moment, and yet parliamentarians are able to follow this line of questioning, which for me is way out of order. One thing to move to the process, another one to deal with the person.
No, I'll hear from...
Mr. Speaker, you'll recall that this was an appointment made to a Canadian who claimed to have qualifications, you recall, and he had no qualifications whatsoever. Now, surely we don't want to make the same mistake a second time, and it may be embarrassing for some members of Parliament, but this is a transparent process and these questions are entirely proper, and of course, if the member's wrong, then she will have to live with that and the public approval will come. But if she's got the facts, then she should be allowed to put them.
I'll hear one more point from level.
So I acknowledge the comments from Mr. Peters, but those discussions, those revelations were made public after the appointment, not before the appointment, and that's the issue.
Order. I'll hear from the Honourable Trevor.
Well, now I think I have to intervene, Mr. Speaker. The questions are about the process and whether or not the board of the Maori Television Service should take a briefing that's offered. So they could not possibly take a briefing that's offered to do with an appointment after it has occurred. It has to be before in order to make sure that the process is proper.
Order. The questions, the way they've been asked, have been more than just about process. They have certainly attempted to malign a particular candidate, and that is a matter for the member who is asking the questions. This is a place where it's a democracy, and members in this House have the right to free speech, but that comes with a responsibility to be clear of the statements that a member's making in asking those questions. If a particular member of the public feels he or she has been maligned by this House, there is a process by which they can seek to send a response to the House. Now, I think we got to the stage when the question was asked, and okay. Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
With respect, sir, can I ask you, is it in order for you to make a judgment as to a member's motives when asking a question, as you just did?
No, I did not. Now, I'm going to ask Claire Curran to plead. Well, if the Minister says he recalls it, he can then move to answer it.
Mr. Speaker, it's a matter for the board as to what briefings or otherwise that they take. They are obliged to the candidates to follow fair process, and bear in mind the makeup of the board is 3 government appointees and 4 appointees put together, 4 appointees made by the Maori Electoral College. So it's not a government appointed majority. It is a mixed board, but whatever the makeup of the board, they're obliged to follow fair process.
Supplementary question, Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
To the Minister, is the Minister aware of the serious failure of public service standards when politicians interfered in public sector appointments that resulted in the resignation of both a Minister and a Chief Executive under the previous government, and that the person at the heart of that inquiry was one Claire Curran?
I cannot see how that supplementary relates to the primary question. Further supplementary? Order! Order. Further supplementary question. Order. Further supplementary question, Claire Curran.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will he, as shareholding minister, investigate the appointment process of the Maori Television Chief Executive and the board chair's role in that? And if that process is found to be inappropriate, will he ask Georgina Tuhiuhu to stand down?
Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, the member is getting way ahead of herself. The board is in an appointment process. It's not complete. There's been no complaint to me from anybody about the nature of that process, and of course are unlikely to complain until they see what result they can get. But as someone who was the beneficiary of an overtly political appointment in the public service, I thought she'd be a bit more reserved in her criticism of others trying to do their job under intensive public scrutiny.
Question number 8. Kanwok Singh Baksh. Order. I've called Commonwealth Singh back.